What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This is Eric, and today we're going to start a new review series, and it's all about the Man of Steel, Superman. And we're starting with the 1978 classic, Superman the movie, the one that started it all. This movie, right off the bat, it is the first big budget superhero movie ever made, and without it, you got nothing. You don't have X-Men, MCU, forget about it. The DC Universe, forget about it. You wouldn't have any of this if there wasn't one film that had the guts to say, we're going to put a whole bunch of money into this and we're going to hire a bunch of big name actors. We're talking about Marlon Brando. We're talking about Gene Hackman. And we're going to put a man in tights and we're going to see how much money we can make, if any. And it made a bunch of money, and it spawned 3 sequels. I'll be reviewing those as well. And like I said, it really was the movie that kicked off the entire superhero craze, which, yes, it didn't really go off in an insane way until maybe the X-Men movies and the MCU. But this movie said, hey, it's possible. This movie made it possible. And it gave studios the confidence to make superhero movies. And it's kind of a template for how to do it when you incorporate the humor that's in this movie, because they realized, like, I don't know if we can just do this like straight up. I mean, can this be a serious movie completely? No, we're going to have to institute some humor into this as well, because it's going to be kind of campy, and we just need to try to embrace it. We want it to be serious. We want him to be awesome. We want him to be a superhero, but we got to bring a little bit of humor into this as well. And I think they did so brilliantly with this first movie. Love the opening of it, where we meet Jor-El, played, of course, by Marlon Brando, Superman's father, trying to convince the council, hey, we're in deep crap here. They're going to have to blow up Krypton, the planet that they're on. And him and his wife, realizing that they were in trouble, nobody was going to listen to them, and they had to go ahead and save their son. So they send him off on a trajectory towards Earth. They decide that that is the ideal place to send him, probably because he looks like a human, so he could fit in there. He is going to have extreme power, but Jor-El sends messaging along with him, tries to teach him things, teaching him about science and all that, teaching him everything he needs to know as he goes along. It's all planned out. Obviously, the technology on Krypton is way more advanced than it would be on Earth at that time and even now. But I think it's pretty well done. I mean, some of it, and I'll get into this with the negatives, I mean, does it look dated? Of course. Yes, of course. It's 1978. This is the first time they're doing this, but at least a lot of the effects are practical. And I like the look. I like the look of Krypton. I think it looks cool here. Yeah, I get a little 70s vibe, but I think it looks cool. It looks interesting. And it looks kind of alien, which it is alien. So it makes sense. But love the scene where the Earth parents of Superman find the little boy. It's so funny. After the truck breaks down or gets a flat tire, and then the little boy picks up the truck like it's no problem, and the smile on his face. It's cute and it's funny, and you know, it just sets the tone. Like, this is going to be, you know, it's going to have some laughs, but we're also going to see this little kid grow. And also, as he becomes a teenager, that's not Christopher Reeve yet either. Of course, the little boy is not, but even the teenager's not, but he does. He looks like Christopher Reeve. He resembles him, a very young teenager version of Christopher Reeve. That's why it works really well. It is pretty seamless. I got to give him credit. You know, at that time there wasn't no CGI, but it just proves that even today, sometimes maybe trying to CGI someone younger, maybe it's best just to find someone and cast them instead who looks like them. Or if you're going to go old, cast an older person who really resembles them and can pull it off. And I think they did a great job here by casting Jeff East. But yeah, I love his teenage years, where you can see he's trying to fit in as kind of a normal kid, but kind of a nerd, kind of not, you know, the most popular kid. He's not playing sports because he can't play sports because he'll just destroy everybody. You know, he has no chance to play sports. He might hurt somebody. So he kind of has to play this role of just this side guy. It's this kind of nerdy, kind of dorky kid. And it's frustrating for him, understandably. And, you know, he shows that frustration because he knows he can kick the ass of any of these jocks who are getting all the girls and are all popular. Yeah, he could kick their ass. He could destroy them with his pinky finger, but he doesn't. And he learns, you know, to keep that all held back because he's going to need it later. At least that's what he's being taught. He can't, you know, it's tough to fully embrace it and understand it at his age, but he's doing a pretty good job. Fast forward to his adult years, Clark Kent character, absolutely phenomenal. And Christopher Reeve, what a great job of casting. I mean, obviously, I think Christopher Reeve was the guy they decided to cast. Then they hired Jeff East because he looks like Christopher Reeve. So I think that was great. But Christopher Reeve, you got someone who had experience as an actor. I mean, he's a quality actor, but he wasn't the super famous actor who, when anyone sees him, sees who he is. Oh, that's Brad Pitt, you know. Or, you know, when we watched a new movie like Black Adam, obviously you see The Rock, right? You see The Rock before you see Black Adam, just as an example. They didn't want that. So they hired Christopher Reeve to embody this role and become Superman. And he certainly did that. Anyone who thinks Christopher Reeve, you think Superman. I mean, he also played in some other movies later in his career, and he's a great actor. But he is Superman. And I love him as Clark Kent. And when he changes to Superman, you know, even his voice is a little bit different. His whole demeanor is different. He knows, I mean, he's doing this, and that's why he can pull it off. Yes, there's always been that question, like, really? Lois Lane, no one else could recognize him because when he put on glasses, you know what? It's more than just that. Yes, you can call that a plot hole if you want, but his demeanor is so different. Like, and when he comes across, the way he comes across, and that's why if he tried to be cool or tried to be popular or tried to be this awesome guy as his human character, as Clark Kent, people probably would have recognized him because they would expect someone like that to be Superman. Nobody who knew Clark Kent even considered Clark Kent as a possibility of being Superman. And that's how he was able to pull that off. When he puts on those glasses, he goes into Clark Kent. Even there's a moment in the movie where Lois Lane does kind of say for a second, like, Clark Kent's never around with some. No, I'll be tripping. As soon as she started to even consider that possibility, she just laughed it off because no way. But yeah, I mean, obviously the two men look alike because they're the same man. But I think his portrayal of Clark Kent is just brilliant because it's so different from when he becomes Superman.
Lois, there's something I have to tell you. I'm really... I was, at first, really nervous about tonight.
And it's just fun to watch him as Clark Kent. It's almost more fun to watch Clark Kent than Superman sometimes. He's just a lot of fun to watch him. But anyway, yeah, he meets Lois Lane in this movie. Obviously, Lois Lane's the love interest. Had some good chemistry with Christopher Reeve on screen for sure. This is not my favorite, iteration of Lois Lane. Say that my favorite. She does just kind of, I don't know, she's just not that likable at times, I guess. I don't know. I mean, this is her, very career driven. It may match that comic book character more closely than perhaps the newer Superman movies like Man of Steel and whatnot. But just didn't really love Lois Lane, to be honest. Just didn't love her as her character.
Lois Lane, say hello to Clark Kent. 421 Pete.
Lois Lane, how are you? Remember my dynamite?
Well, I'm not a huge fan of her, but I think, the actress does a fine job. And like I said, they do have decent chemistry on set and everything. As far as Gene Hackman, I think Gene Hackman does a pretty good job of bringing a kind of a comical yet diabolical psycho villain to the screen here. I mean, again, not my favorite kind of villain in a comic book movie, because a little more funny of a villain, and his little sidekick here doesn't help matters at all. And to me, even though I love some of the humor in this movie, Otis is just a little bit over the top. I mean, this bumbling henchman who is just constantly screwing up, can't do anything right, annoying the heck out of Gene Hackman's character Lex Luthor all the time. The guy's just, absolutely just annoying at times. It's just, he has a few funny moments for sure. When he tries to name the island after himself at one point when they're taking over the world and everything. And there was that funny moment.
Costa del X, Lutherville, Marina del X, Otisburg. Otisburg?
Where's this monster? She's got her own place, man.
Otisburg?
It's a little bitty place.
Otisburg?
Okay, I just wipe it off. That's all. It's a little town.
So he had his moments, but it was a little over the top. So there you have it. I mean, this movie's not perfect to me at all. I'm going to tell you straight up, like, this movie's not perfect to me at all. When I watched it as a kid, I freaking loved it, but I didn't have anything to compare it to at the time. There wasn't a whole lot of superhero movies in existence at that time. So as a kid, I was watching the Superman movies, the early Batman movies, of course, and just whatever I could get at that time. Mostly DC characters, movies. Some movies would come out, some direct-to-TV movies that garbage. But yeah, this was one of the better ones at that time. Since then, we've had so many great movies. The X-Men franchise is probably my favorite comic book franchise. Obviously, some really good movies in Marvel, although Marvel's not my favorite, but some good DC movies. And you have some movies like Joker now, and the new Batman movie, The Batman. I mean, these are, we're at a different time now with the not just the CGI, but everything is just, the game has just stepped up to a crazy level, lately. Not to say that, plot matters. In some movies, just garbage plot. Sometimes the humor is way too much, out of control and ridiculous. This movie, the humor, I'd say it's a little more than I would prefer at this point. When I was a kid, I didn't mind, but the humor's a little much. But like I said, it was the first one, and back then it had to be a little more campy just because of the special effects that were not quite as strong as not even close to as strong as they are now. So it has a campy vibe. You have to bring in some humor to it, which they do. But I have to say the overwhelming positive that takes this movie probably from an okay superhero movie to a damn good superhero movie, and that's the music. John Williams' score. This is the cream of the crop, the best score of any superhero movie ever, in my opinion. The score is absolutely amazing, not just the main theme, but all of it. Just throughout the movie, the music is stellar. The music takes this movie to a new level. And like I said, there are flaws, I think, in this film. I see continuity errors when I watch it. I see editing issues. I just see problems. And it's just, it was a 1978 movie, and it was the first time it was tried. It's, like I said, a pioneer as far as superhero movies. No doubt about it. And Lex Luthor is freaking diabolical. He is insane. He comes off as a nutcase in this movie. There's different ways and different methods to try to make your villain scary, powerful, intimidating. And I think this movie does a pretty good job of going down the path of kind of comical, but diabolical. You don't know what this guy's capable of. He obviously is a sociopath, psychopath. He doesn't care about human life at all, which he proves when he's going to blow up everything, including the mother of Eve Teschmacher, who is kind of like his Lex Luthor's assistant. And she is just appalled that this guy's just going to kill her own mother. And there's some cool scenes that involve Superman. And I like, promising to save her mom first, which he was a little reluctant to do because his own friends were in trouble, but, he was in a position he had no choice. So I said, I promise. Okay. And overall thoughts on the movie is that it's still enjoyable to this day. It's still a lot of fun, and it's a sweet movie. I mean, it's a solid movie when you have Superman, and this is the true Superman. A lot of people don't like Man of Steel. I personally love Man of Steel. A lot of people don't like it because they feel like Superman is not Superman. He's more dark in that movie. He's more, but to me, it's a different take on it. It's a different take. It's a reboot. What are they going to do? Just make the same movie? Yes, Christopher Reeve Superman is more hopeful and is just a little bit brighter of a superhero, which is the whole point. Man of Steel was meant to be a darker take on it. So Christopher Reeve is amazing in the role. The music is the greatest of all time with the music, and overall it's a really solid movie. Some of the special effects not that great. There is a scene I particularly dislike when they're flying around. It's a cool moment when they're flying, and there's some funny parts of it when she drops, when she's hanging on barely. You're like, oh my god, she's about to fall, and then sure enough she falls. Superman's like, no biggie, and he flies down and grabs her. But there's that voiceover where she's doing a voiceover, and it's cringe. It's not good. I never liked that ever. So there's things that I don't like. Some of the special effects have aged. Some of them it is not that great, but I think they did the best they could for 1978. Some lines are not that great. I would say this today, so I'm going to be fair and say it for this movie. There's some dialogue. I don't think the dialogue's that great at times. Some of the delivery is not that great, not from Christopher Reeve necessarily, but just some of the deliveries in the film. There are a lot of actors in this movie, not that great. Overall, can be a little bit cringy. But when you put it all together and you consider this was the first of its kind, I think this movie is really good. I'm not going to say, I mean, to me, some people will call this a masterpiece. If you want to consider it a masterpiece as the very first big budget superhero movie, in the fact that they did it all the important things right. They got the music right. They got the characters right. They got a simple story. They did all the simple things right. But when considering everything in this film, I'm just going to rate it as, just for my personal taste, I don't look at it as a masterpiece. I do think this could have made or break the superhero genre. Luckily, it made it. This could have been terrible. This could have been god-awful. It turned out to be really good. And to me, this is absolutely a great film. And like I said, if the music wasn't so great, it might be good, not great. But to me, the music takes it into great territory. And when you have Christopher Reeve cast as Superman and he kicks ass in this movie, knocks it out of the park, and you have a great villain in Lex Luthor, a diabolical psychopath villain, you have really funny humor in it. Some jokes don't land, and I think for my personal taste, it's a little too much. But at the end of the day, it's a great film. If you'd asked me when I was 10, I would have told you it's a freaking masterpiece, greatest movie ever. But at this point in my life, I'm going to say it's great. Look forward to Superman 2 review, and we'll see if Superman 2 is even better than Superman the movie. And actually, I don't know what I'm going to say, because I really like Superman 2, but I haven't watched it for a good while. So I'm going to be rewatching that one, and I will have a review for Superman 2 coming up. But let me know what you think of the original 1978 Superman the movie. What are your thoughts on Christopher Reeve in this role? Do you think this movie's even watchable nowadays? Is it too much, too cringe, too 70s? Or do you think this movie still to this day holds up? I think it holds up for the most part, not completely, but it's definitely watchable and definitely a lot of fun. You know, not something I watch every year, but every so often, I'll definitely go back to the Superman movies. So let me know what you think, guys, in that comment section. Hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe. We will talk to you next time.